Alright, awesome. So today we're going to be talking about plant growth and development. By that I mean specifically plant hormones and however you will view it. So today we're going completely off script because this wasn't planned in the lesson, as I thought I was going to merge it, but it's alright. So just like humans, we have hormones that potentially makes us grow. Plants also has hormones. They basically control the entire behavior of plants and their growth. They control how these cells grow into different things. How, let's say, a meristemic cell could potentially turn into a vascular cell or a dermal tissue or whatever. Sorry, or one of these epidermal cells. It's fascinating. So they rarely act alone. You have to know that they are usually working together as a team, and they need some external factors. So they're usually responsive to some external stimuli like light, gravity, touch, or whatever. So we have examples of this. As we all know, if we place our plant in front of a window, the plant will likely go ahead and bloom towards the sunlight. And when we place our plant just anywhere on our desk or in our house or anywhere, the stem, it will always go upward and the root will always go downward. That's actually a gravity reaction. And interesting enough, some plants, when we touch the plant, it will actually go around your hand because it's trying to climb up your hand. Its cell wall, it is structural, but it's not strong enough. And when it climbs onto your hand, it grows incredibly fast because now it has all these growing places that it can use its hormones instead of trying to stabilize itself. So the first one we're going to talk about is auxins. So auxins is the growth boosters of the plant world, basically. It's found majorly in the apical meristems, buds, young leaves, whatever. So they make these plant cells grow very fast, and they enforce apical dominance. So now you may ask, what is apical dominance? As you go outside and look at those trees or grass or whatever type of plant, you'll realize that the plant is going upwards, and it keeps on going upwards. So auxins make this plant go upward. It make it grow upward and only upwards. It doesn't make it go sideways. So essentially, you're going to have a plant that has a pretty fat base. However, the higher you get, the skinnier it gets. And the skinnier it gets, it means you're just basically losing structure. You're going to fall over, and what does falling over mean for your xylem? Oh, it's dead. So essentially, auxins by itself, it will essentially kill your plant, and that's not good. And when you go outside and you see these trees, somebody will pay people to get rid of this part, to get rid of the apical meristems, so the plant will have less auxins. So essentially, the plant will grow less tall, of course, but again, it's going to be more stable. It will grow longer and be there longer. So these are synthetic weed killers, work to grow too quick. They just wanted to grow fast. So we have these weed killers, and they're basically made out of auxin. So we spray it on the grass, and the grass grows really, really fast. It grows extremely quick. It grows in height, but it's not growing in circumference. So essentially, the grass is going to lose structure, and all of them is going to fall over and die. Some plant auxins allow for growth in one area while inhibiting the others. So that's what I just literally said. You can have the plant growing upwards but not growing sideways. It's quite simple. All right. Yeah, I want to talk about this chemistry thing. So it's a ring structure, two ring structures, a double bond oxygen and a double bond hydroxide. So this is what you're going to be seeing. It's not gonna, well, I'm not sure. It could be on your test, but you're just gonna know it has a ring structure, a ending of a double bond oxygen to a hydroxide. You're just gonna know that. Also an NH group. Simple. So I just want to talk about the chemical structures of these real quick. So you don't need to know these at all. It's just they might be on your test. Surprise, surprise, because I know that some teachers in some of your high schools they teach really weird stuff. And I know for a fact that somebody they taught all of these chemical structures in grade 11, which is pretty weird, but you guys gotta prepare for it. So cytokinins, or they're division experts basically. They will promote cell division and differentiation. They work along with these brothers auxins, and they will form an literally unstoppable duel. Without cytokinins, plants would not be able to develop their complex structure at all. And this basically, you can consider them as the architects of the plants. They will make it go higher, make it grow taller, and make sure that as it's growing taller, it doesn't fall over. Gibberellins, or however how you pronounce it. This is also produced in the apical meristems. It's like a game changer, honestly. It transports nutrients, it breaks seed dormancy, and it even reverses genetic dwarf. Yeah. So with these hormones, plants they will grow taller, they will grow stronger, they will grow earlier, and produce larger fruit. However, larger fruit does not mean they're more delicious. So, using this hormone, it could potentially give us a side effect that we can't even predict what that side effect is. Now, last one. It's a gas, and this is the simplest structure out of all of these. You see this, even I get scared. This is pointing in and out of the screen. Into the screen, all of these bonds, crazy. So we have an ethylene gas, very simple. You learned this in organic chemistry in grade 12. Very simple. So it's the only gas hormone ever known for plants. It's all about change and maturity. It plays a quite important role in ripening fruits. It makes leaves fall, and it also makes flowers wilt. So farmers, they pick their fruit before it ripens, so it can be shipped for a long time. A good example of this is oranges from Florida. So when you put that oranges onto, let's say, a shipping pack, and you want to ship that stuff to Toronto or Ontario, it's not gonna last very well. And especially if you want to reduce the cost, you don't want to go shipping by plane. You gotta go ship by a boat, man. Actually, it doesn't make sense. Sorry, yeah. It could be it's either a boat or a truck. That's how it's gonna get shipped. So usually to reduce the cost, you're usually not going to go with plane. So that car ride, that whole drive, might take you 10 to even 20 or 30 days, depending on how fast the dude's driving. So they will pick their fruit before it ripens. And then when it arrives into Toronto, they will spray ethylene gas. So it starts to ripen, and it starts to be like, oh, it's so fresh. And then they ship those into the Walmart, TT, or whatever you shop at. They ship these in there, and you look at them and be like, oh, they look like they just got picked, but really they don't taste so good. They don't taste so good. I know it sounds magical, it sounds like an air freshener and stuff, but no, they don't taste as well. And especially the fact that you could have over ripened fruit, and you can see those black bananas that literally over ripened, and now they taste horrible. Or I mean, like, the kids don't like eating them because they're squishy and jellying, like it's just disgusting. So they help farm, they help economics. They're an incredible game changer to how we view this farming industry and how we are able to ship food. However, they are a double-sided blade. Abscisic acid, my bad. So abscisic acid, you can see the acid right here. That's a carbonic acid group. I'm sorry. So if auxins and gibberellins are like, hey, we are going to make you all grow extremely fast, abscisic acid is a complete opposite. It will stop. It's going to slow down growth. It will keep the seed dormant. It will keep the stomata to prevent water loss. It's majorly found in matured leaf and roots. So this is more like a survival hormone. to make sure that the plant doesn't really overextend itself during tough conditions. So especially when you spray all of these oxygen around, the plant's gonna be like, I'm gonna grow, 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 grow. So abscisic acid is kind of cool. He, on the other hand, he doesn't want the plants to be like grow, grow, grow until you die. No, abscisic acid he want to create so that you can grow. But when you don't got that much nutrients and you don't got all that much food, you'll stop growing, because seeds, we learned that they don't have much nutrients stored yet. They don't have that much food for them to grow rapidly so fast like their parents did. So essentially abscisic acid is going to be like, hey guys, let's stop, no more growing, and we're going to take a break. Now, plants have response to environments just like humans do. So this is supposed to be a topic covered in evolution, but that's alright. We're going to look at how plants will actually respond to these stuff, or to see these external factors. So tropism or tropic responses, it's basically plants' responsive growth to the environment. Positive tropism grows towards the stimulus, while negative tropism grows away from it. So we're going there. These includes many things. All of these tropism, they're usually reversible. And let's just say you have a plant that you're putting in front of your window and it's facing the sunlight for like 20 days. If you rotate the plant to make sure that the plant that wasn't the part that wasn't under the sunlight, you make sure that now it sees sunlight, the plant is going to reverse back to its original form, and hopefully it's going to grow back. That's reversible. Now, when you have a response to stimulus independent of the stimuli direction, that is called a nastic response. It's not a growth response. It's absolutely, well, this is also reversible, I guess, but it can be repeated, unlike the other one above. This you can't understand why they do it, or well, I mean, chemically, yes, you can understand it, but it's just harder to understand these. So so we have a couple, so tropic responses, we have three main types that we're going to look at: phototropism, gravitropism, and zygotropism. These are growth in response to external environments. They could be positive or negative. They could be beneficial or unbeneficial for the plants. Light response. So this is due to the unequal oxygen distributions. When you're putting a plant in front of the sunlight, the part that's facing the sunlight is going to grow really quick. Or to say not really quick, it's not going to grow as fast. So essentially it gets controlled. So that plant the plant part that sees the sunlight is going to grow slowly. So that's why you essentially see the plant bending towards the sunlight. It's because those plants in front of the sunlight, they don't grow as tall, and the ones behind it are just growing so fast. Gravitropism is just observable everywhere. Literally everywhere. So you could grow a plant on anywhere. Hopefully on Earth. I mean, hopefully in your home. So you'll see that the stem, they will always grow up against gravity, against that 9.81 newtons per kilograms gravity. And roots, they will always dig down. So it's theoretically easier for the roots to grow and harder for the stem to grow. Zygotropism is response to a mechanical stimuli. And by that, I mean a touch. Or you could say, I came from an Asian family. So my parents, they used to have these plants in the house, and they used to wrap a metal stick around the plant, and the plant will climb up that metal stick and grow extremely fast. So plants, they're quite independent, sure, but however, they still want to climb up something. When they climb up something, it's usually easier for them to grow, and they don't require that much structures. So you see there's also these ivies. They just climb up a person's house, but the ivies aren't good. They aren't as well as you think it is. They will climb into every single hole that you have on your house, on your walls, let's say maybe a brick, and they will essentially take all that concrete out and they will go in, and maybe you will have ivies in your house. Sounds so fun. See? See? Sunlight. And this is gravity. Gravity. It's whenever you have the stem, it's always going to figure their way out and grow back up. So it went down a little bit, it went back up again. And the roots obviously is still developing in that direction. We can't see it. If we pull it out, it's probably dead. So this, you can see it's wrapping itself around and it's growing. Yep, very simple. Okay, so now we're going to talk about nutrients. So just like us, plants need a quite balanced diet. They absorb nutrients as dissolved chemical compounds from the soil. So they need both macronutrients and micronutrients. So the most important one I would say is probably potassium and calcium. They're needed in large amounts. And zinc and copper, these are still helpful, but again, they're micronutrients, so they need a very tiny dose of those. So these elements are pretty much crucial for a healthy plant growth and reproduction. So as we can see here, these are what these nutrients are responsible for: nitrogen, potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, iron, boron, zinc, manganese, copper. I don't know what that is, honestly. I forgot man. My chemistry all returned back to my teacher. Yeah, that's not good. But anyways, these are ranked from the most important to the least important. So nitrogen is responsible for chlorine, proteins, and the production of nucleic acid. It means that it's pretty important. And potassium, as I said, it controls stomata, which is basically responsible for um gas exchange and water going out of the leaf. So it's also very important. Calcium and all that, yeah. So you have molybdenum, I believe. Sorry, molybdenum. I forgot one of those, like pretty weird ones. So this help use nitrogen and produce abscisic acid. So when you look at how important all of these are, yes, all of them are important. However, there is a base of which one is more important. So let's look here. All of these plants tend to lack one of these nutrients. So this one lacks nitrogen, this one lacks phosphorus. And we could just compare and see which one is the least important. So, they didn't provide a regular leaf, but it's okay. You can see the nitrogen one, that the one that doesn't have nitrogen, it's completely pale. Doesn't look as good. Phosphorus, it's okay. This one, it's all tumbled up. It's like it's burnt or something. And this one is similar to that, but however, it's appearing more yellow. This one just looks like it haven't been drinking water for like the past 50 years. It's almost dead, man. Yeah, zinc, that's already dead. Iron doesn't seem to be much useful. And when you see this, you realize zinc is much more important than iron. Iron doesn't seem to be helping much. And we come back to the molybdenum element back now. This one, it doesn't even matter. Alright, it may be some of it, but it doesn't matter. Manganese doesn't matter that much. Chlorine, a little bit. So you see, this is ranked out of importance level. So some of these are more important than the other. Some of them can be discluded. But however, it's the most beneficial that you have a plant growing in a soil that has all of these nutrients, because it's just important. They need a balanced diet. They need these to live. Now, just like our blood, we maintain a blood level. Alright, blood pH level. We have this blood pH level that we must stay in. It's 7.35 to 7.45, I believe. So we need this blood level to live. And plants need the soil pH level to live. So most plants, they will live in a slightly acidic soil. It's pH 6 to 7. If you didn't know, 7 is around neutral. So very fewer species, they tolerate basic soil. And we have some example here. You just need to know that slightly acidic soil grows most plants. Now, succession, we're going to talk about what you learn in literally grade 9 diversity, grade 8 biodiversity, something like that. So, succession is basically how our life has grown. It's how life existed and came and evolved into this type of stuff that we have these days. So, they're driven by abiotic factors like climate, but they're also driven by biotic factors like competition or whatever. Overall, they're important. They're like nature's way of healing. Primary succession. We start with an exposed rock. Or to say, primary succession is basically the creation of all of these trees and soils and plants. So we start from absolutely nothing. Nothing, just nothing. So we have the pioneer species. They first colonize and come in. They're usually bacteria, algae, lichens, and plant-like liverworts. They're usually small. They don't require much to live, and they can live in any tough conditions. So these species grow in this extreme harsh conditions. However, when they die, they don't just die. They leave their nutrients behind in these, well, not yet formed soil. And eventually, they're going to build up. Ta-da! We have soil. So these soil, because so many plants died and they had some nutrients, maybe they were missing some and they just died. So they have all of these nutrients building up. So it become a very nutriented soil, and these plants will be able to live. And eventually these plants, grasses and weeds, it's going to die and develop more better and healthy soil, and allows to more herbaceous plants, and it allows more plants to live, a little bit of forest, some big forest, and all of that. So essentially, the number of species that are capable to living here, probably none. Nobody can live on exposed rocks. And here, a full forest, maybe, just maybe, there could be hundreds or thousands or millions of different type of species living in there. So eventually it will create this climax community that allows most type of species to live in there if there are no major environmental change. Now, what I mean by a major environmental change? Well, that brings us to our secondary succession. Very, very typical effect is forest fire. Hey, just like Los Angeles. Is Los Angeles burning? Yes, I believe Los Angeles is burning. Right? California is on fire. I bet they need a lot of this. So secondary succession, it could be because of nature, but usually it's because of us humans. A couple unput out cigarettes thrown around to the ground, and the forest starts burning. Woo! All the soil gets burned. So see, have a fire, or it could be like, let's say, a flood, and all of these goes out, and or even better, agriculture. We cut them down ourselves. Ooh, that hurts. That do. So you see, 0 years. These roots. Fire, they burn out. You can only burn out so much above the soil because the soil is wet. It has water content in it. You're not going to be able to burn the soil. You can't lit it on fire, of course. These roots still live. They are nutrients. So, again, they're like pioneer species. They're like primary succession, but they only take maximum 150 years. Or, well, not maximum 150, but somewhere around that. But this this took us almost a couple million years to get to where we are right now. So this take an extreme amount of time, but because we already have soil and all of these nutrients, we are not going to take much time to do secondary succession. So again, it's a pioneer species. It's going to be the intermediate species, and then finally we're going to reach climax. Very simple. Follows the same pattern as it did in primary succession. Yeah, and I think one thing that I wanted to add on is that the hardest change in this is not growing into a forest or growing into trees or growing into whatever plants or flowers. It's actually developing soil. Soil will always be the hardest part. Imagine you're just having rocks, and it takes billions of years for life to start forming on that rock. We can't do that right now because we don't have an environment where there are absolutely no bacteria, no plants, nothing that evolved. But if we were able to travel back in time and go back a million years ago, we would just see a rock. And maybe if we go back 900,000 years ago, we will still see just that one rock that we saw a million years ago. So it really takes a long time for soil to develop, and that's why secondary succession is so much quicker. And yeah, that ends my presentation for today, guys. It's about to be our last lesson for plants. Be prepared.